Hello, I'm Mark, your Utah guide with utahguide.com. Today we're going to talk about Zion National Park in southwestern Utah. The picture you see here is a view from what is called Observation Point. It is accessed from the east side of the park, and it is one of the best views in all of Zion National Park, in my opinion. I'm the former director of tourism for southwestern Utah, and have been in and out of Zion National Park hundreds of times in the last several decades. So the information we're providing you today is hopefully from a valid source. As you look at what this young lady is looking at, she's at Observation Point, and she's looking down on Angel's Landing actually right there. That is if you follow this little ridge line right here, that's the route. The last part of the Angel Landing hike brings you out on top of that point, and you're looking down, you're looking around the whole part of this canyon where actually the Virgin River wraps right around this fin, this rock fin that you see there. So Angel's Landing, one of the very popular hikes in the park. It's about a 1,500 vertical ascent. The observation hike from the east side is about 6.5 miles round trip. It's a great one to do. It's not as difficult. There is a little bit of an ascent down at the end of the trail, about 500 feet elevation change. Otherwise, about 6.5 miles. So just take that into account. Let's now go to a map of the western United States and kind of give you the lay of the land a little bit. Here's California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Idaho, Wyoming. These are the states that surround Utah. And if we were to zoom in now here on Utah, to the southwest corner, this little brown spot there is Zion National Park. And Zion is best accessed, if I'm going to come back to this map and just show you, this is Interstate 15 from LA coming up from Vegas. There's Salt Lake City, Denver, Phoenix down this way, and Albuquerque. All of those lead into the area, but the best ones, probably if you're coming through Vegas or Salt Lake City, those are your best gateway cities into the park. Let's jump back to this map of the park. 30 miles is the length of the park, and about 15 miles across at its widest point. There's a section of the park here that you can access called the Kolob Finger section, and it's only accessible from I-15, but you cannot get into any other parts of the park via vehicle. You might be able to hike it, but a long hike. Most people, let's go to this next map. That's a view of the main canyon of the park. We'll come back to that in a minute. This road goes through the park. Let's back up and just let you see where the lay of the land is here. This is St. George, Utah, close to the Arizona border, Nevada border here in the southwest corner of the state of Utah. Zion National Park here. This is Highway 89 on this side. This is Highway 9, and so you leave I-15 and you venture through a variety of small towns to come over towards the town of Springdale. Right in this section here is the southwest gate of Zion National Park. This is the main area that people like to come. There is an access point from over this way that takes you up on what they call the Kolob Plateau, and has some interesting things, like if you ever heard of the subway hike, that was where you would go to access that. There are some other hikes that we can tell you more details in another video about at another time. We're just giving you kind of the most important things right now. This road, as you come out of Springdale, there's the gate of the park. Pay to enter the park right there. And then if you're coming most times of the year, if you're going to come up the main canyon, which is what we're looking on this white road right here, then you need to get on a shuttle about 9 or 10 months of the year. It's shuttle access only. During the December, January, and maybe a little bit of February, you can access this part of the canyon via your own vehicle. At least as of 2023, that is possible during that time. But most of the time, you're going to park your vehicle in Springdale or at the mouth of the park at the visitor center, and then you're going to follow this road and go up by shuttle into the main part of the park. If you want to access the east side of the park, and there's some great sections over here to access, then you're going to drive your vehicle up this way towards the east gate of the park. You are going to be able to find little spots along the road to park your vehicle and then access what we would look at. And I'm going to come back to this map here and show you all of these grooves that you see here. These are all canyons that can be explored just on your own. Be careful as you do so, but there are possible places to go. Now, the main canyon. The main stops along the way. The shuttle is going to come up here and take you to what's called the Court of the Patriarchs. You can get on and off. The shuttle comes every 10 or 15 minutes going up canyon or down canyon. So just get off the shuttle and pick up the next shuttle as it comes. Then the next shuttle stop would be up here at the lodge inside the park, and there's lodging there, there's a restaurant there, a few other services, a gift shop, and so on. Bear in mind that those services are available. Most services are available outside the park in other communities. Here's where you'd start to access some of the other trails. You can access the Emerald Pools Trail you may have heard about. If you come up to the next station, the Grotto Picnic Area, that's where most people access the Angel's Landing Trail. Angel's Landing is one of the most famous hikes in the world. It is by permit only, and so bear that in mind. You need to get a permit in advance to do that. More details to be found on nps.gov/Zion. So look that up. Angel's Landing Trail takes you up, and as you were looking at that picture that we had, this is, you would come up this side of the fin, up through this crack and work your way that way, and then back this way up the rim to the top of Angel's Landing. Pretty strenuous, about a 1,500-foot ascent. Bear that in mind as you do it. Coming back to this, that's Angel's Landing. There's the Virgin River kind of wrapping around what you see from Angel's Landing, or here's Observation Point is right here, the view that we were showing you right there. So that's from there looking down canyon. The shuttle, after the grotto, the access from Angel's Landing, the next shuttle stop now is at Big Bend Viewpoint. There are some great little places you can get off there and walk around here. There's some great views of the Great White Throne, and more details we could go into there, but we won't here in this video. We will in other videos. Now, look for a hiking video in Zion National Park, and that's where we'll go into those details. The next great point to stop is at the end of the main canyon. This is literally the end of where you would come to the Temple of Sinawava, they call it, and this is if you're going to hike the Narrows, or the paved Narrows Trail at least, this is where you'd start. It is paved to this point, and then from that point on, you step into water and you're walking upstream in the river. You're going to want to walk with good shoes and a walking stick. If it's springtime, they will not let you hike in this area until the spring runoff is at a certain level so that you're not in any danger. And you can find details about when that's available on, again, nps.gov/Zion. Now, once you start walking upriver, you're into what's called the narrow section and you're working your way. There are a lot of people that like to hike this, so you will run into a lot of people during the summer months and early fall hiking inside the Narrows. The further you go up canyon, the less you'll have to do. I will say that this is a 16-mile canyon. You can hike from top down. Most people hike from the bottom up, just a short way, and then turn around and walk back down. So you'll come back on, get on the shuttle, and you will work your way back out of the main canyon of the park, stopping where you want. That's the main canyon. The east side of the park is quite spectacular. This is where you're going to see bighorn sheep in this section of the east side of the park after you've gone up through the tunnel. Other critical things to just tell you quickly about: lodging. Where are you going to stay when you visit Zion National Park? Let's just back this up a little bit. And you've got places like Springdale, Mount Carmel Junction, Orderville, all have places to stay along here in the Virgin area. There's some locations, Laverque and Hurricane, Washington and St. George, all have places to stay when you're visiting Zion National Park. If you're looking for shopping, groceries, restaurants, all of those are going to be found in those towns. Of course, the closest places are Springdale or out here on the east side of the park, and there's a couple of resorts, Zion Ponderosa Ranch Resort, Zion Mountain Ranch. Those are good places to stay. Zion Ponderosa happens to have a big outfitter that takes you on outdoor adventures for Jeep, horseback, canyoneering all over in this area. That is quite fantastic. If you're going to do one activity in Zion National Park that you can't do in many places in the world, it is to enter a slot canyon, and you can walk into slot canyons. East Zion Adventure Company and other adventure companies are ones that will take you to those opportunities, or you can rappel into a slot canyon, and that company and all these other companies can provide that experience for you as well. We've talked about trails, we've talked about wildlife from the standpoint of the bighorn sheep. You'll have California condors that sometimes soar over the skies of this area, all the way over into this area. They've kind of migrated from other areas where they've been reintroduced. And you've got deer and wild turkeys that are probably going to be the things that you see most commonly in the Zion National Park area. Where should you take photographs? Look for other videos on that, but you're going to find up the main canyon. In the east part of Zion National Park, you're going to find all kinds of photo stops. We'll go into greater detail about some of the best places to do that in another video as well. Temperatures. Let's just deal with the temperatures around Zion National Park, because this will deal with when should you visit Zion National Park, what time of year. In the summer months, this is 4,000 feet elevation down inside this main area of the canyon that we're looking here. 4,000 feet, it's going to be hotter, it's desert area, and then as you ascend up on top of the plateau, 6,500 feet. So this area is much cooler, and if you stay in lodging up in this area, you're going to be cooler in the summertime, but in the wintertime you do get a little snow up there. Down in here, in the winter, it's going to be warmer, 50 degrees in the dead of winter, and then in the spring and fall, 60, 70, 80 degrees. In the heat of the summer, about, usually around high 90s and 100-degree temperatures, upwards of 110 on a very hot day. So bear that in mind as you visit Zion National Park, when you should visit Zion National Park, based on the temperatures in this area. This is part of the Great Basin and other deserts that kind of converge in this area. So it's a very dry and hot area. Not a lot of rain in this area, so bear that in mind as well. If you do get rain, remember the waterfalls are a great blessing or a great opportunity to enjoy while you're there. So that's your Insider's Guide to Zion National Park, brought to you by UtahGuide.com. And I'm Mark, your Utah Guide. Thanks for joining me.